Hello and how are you? My name is Mohindom Barak and I welcome you to the 5th video of creating a WhatsApp chat application clone. In the previous video, we were able to create the logic of creating a user and sending the message from one user to the other. And we were able to create the user interface of the logic of sending a message from one user to the other, but only the front end. So in today's video, we are going to work now with the logic of creating the user using the Android application as well as logging in the user, so that people should be able to create their accounts to the application and then they can communicate with one another. That's the logic that we're going to do. So I hope you're ready to create a form like this for creating the users with me. If you are, then let's do it right now. So without wasting much time, in this WhatsApp application, we are going to use the local database of the room. We are going to use room local database in the application. This room local database will help us to know whether the user has logged in or not logged in, as well as keeping the messages offline, so that if in case the user is still offline, we can still have the messages that we display to these users. So when they log in, then we sync the application with the message with the local messages and then online messages. So that's what we're going to do in today's video, and we are going to use the room database. So to get the room database, you just simply search room real-time database on the local on the Google, and then you'll be able to get these packages. So for me, I already have it. I will assume that you can as well search it on internet and get them. So me, I already have it, so I'm going to copy them and then paste them in my application, so that we should have the room local database implemented in our application. So I'll copy the implementations, then I'll go to my application, which is this one, and I go to the Gradle, and then I go to Gradle module, and then I'm going to paste here the room database implementation. So I'll come here and then paste them here in the Gradle module. Okay, so after pasting them there, I'm going to click on sync now, so that the application should be able to sync and get these databases into our application. You can pause the video and look at this database the way they are written, or you can as well search them, room local database, and you'll be able to get this implementation line and then also add them in your application. So as you can see, my application has completed syncing. Now is the time that we start the logic of implementing the local database, so that in case the user is offline, we should be able to show them the messages, or in case they send the messages and they are offline, the message should be stored on the local database. When they connect on internet, these messages should go on the online database. So that's what we are trying to do right now. So we have added the local database into our application, that is room database. So let us see how we can implement this room local database. So to implement the room local database, let me first close everything here. To implement the room local database, we simply come to application in the Java side, and then we create a folder for database, or I call it a package. We can call it a folder or anything, but we call it a package for database. So me, I'm going to call it DB. This is the application. I already created another application, so don't confuse the two. This is a different one and this is another one. So this is the one that we're working with, this one, the one that you see here, WhatsApp chat clone. So here I'm going to create a package. This is my main package, so I'm going to create another package where I'll add the database stuff. So I'll right click here and say new, and then say Java, package. Where is it? Package here. Okay, I'm going to call it DB. So all my database related business, I'll add them into into the DB here. So right now we're going to add another we're going to add the steps of creating the database. The first thing that we're going to do is create the database interface. The database interface is the one that will be communicating between the database and between the real database and the database and the logic that we'll be using into the activities. So we call it a database interface. As you can see, this is how it is written, and I will explain everything. Okay, so we're going to create an interface for the room database. So we just simply come here and right click new. We right click on the new database that we just created, and then say Java class, and then you say interface here, and then you give it a name. So me, I call it DB interface, okay, whatever I call it, but for me I've called it database interface or DB interface. So this interface is the one that will be communicating between the room database and the application that we're using. So I press OK. So this database should be implemented, and you can see the database has been implemented. So after doing that, then we have to add here at DAO. So we annotate it here. We come here on top here on top of the database that we just created, the interface, and put at DAO. Okay. So after putting the DAO, so the room database will know that this is the interface that we'll be using to communicate with the database itself. So after creating the interface itself, that is the step number 1. So go to step number 2. The step number 2 is going to be now the database that the database itself, the one that is going to be configured and work with the SQL database that is on the Android operating system. So let us create now the database itself. So to create the database itself, this is how it is created. Okay, so that is step number 2. So it's going to be a class that is going to extend a room database. It's just a simple class, an abstract class that is going to extend a room database. So we just simply come here, right click on the DB and say new, and then say Java class. Okay, put there database, and then you put and press enter. Okay, so this class we must make it an abstract class. Okay, we're going to put it an abstract class. So this is the class that you're working with. Don't confuse the two. This one already created, so this is the one that I'm creating right now. I did that so that I should not waste your time. Okay, so we're going to make this class, the one here that you're seeing here where there's WhatsApp, we're going to add here. We're going to make it an abstract class. So come here to public and put here abstract class, as you can see here, and we're going to make this class extend the room database. Okay, so you come here and put extends room database. Press Alt and Enter Alt and Enter, and then say import. So this database should be imported. So after doing that, I hope you're together there. After doing that, then you have to add the annotation of the room database itself. Okay, so I'm going to explain everything. Don't worry, I'm going to explain everything. Okay, you don't need to worry. So we come on top of the database that we created here on top here, and then we annotate it and say I'm going to explain everything here. Don't worry, just minimize here so you can see clearly. I'm going to explain everything, you don't need to worry. So you put here, so you're going to register here the interfaces and the classes that are going to be implemented database. Okay, so you just simply put at Android room database. Okay, just write at Android X room database. So you can just simply say at database. Okay, and then you say entities equals, and then inside here you open you open this curly bracket. Okay, and then here we're going to pass the entities that we'll use in our database. Okay, so all the entities that we'll be using in this project, we'll be adding them here. Okay, so for example, right now we don't have any entities, so let us leave it the way it is here. Okay, so I'll leave it the way it is. So after putting, just write at Android X room.database, and then this is the database that we just created, and then you put entities equals, and then you open the curly bracket. So here it's where we'll register the entities that we'll use in our database, and then you put a comma, and then you put the version of the database. Right now we're going to begin with the version 1. So every time that we'll be making a change in the database, we'll be changing the version, and then you put export schema. You can leave it as false. Okay, so you put this kind of annotation here, and then you leave it there. So what we'll do here, I'll show you next. Okay, so you put that. Okay, so after putting that is the one that will be like registering the database, and then we come and create this private we come here inside the database class that we created, and then we add these following things. Okay, first of all, we create an instance of a database here. As you can see here, it is just private static database. As you can see here, we call it instance. After doing that, then we come and create the number of threads, the maximum threads. So this is just a constant line, the number of maximum threads. So these are the number of maximum threads, the number of operation that can be executed in this database per time. So you can leave them at 6, the one that is recommended. It's just simply an integer, a static integer of 6. Okay, then after doing that, then you're going to do what? To create an executable service. This one, that one that we'll be using to execute our database. So I'm going to explain it. You just simply write public, it should be public, this one, public final executor. This one that we will be using to execute our database, and then you give it a name. For me, I just called it database write executor. Okay, then you equate it. Let me minimize here, and you can so that you can see properly here. You see, it's just a single line, public executor service, and then you give it a name, the one that you'll be using, and then you say executors dot new fixed thread pool, and then you paste the number of threads here. Okay, this one that you defined here, you pass it here. So you know, when I save it, it'll be like 2 lines. Okay, when I open here, it'll be like 2 lines, but it is a single line. So this one, the one that we'll be using to communicate to the database, that executor. So after doing that, then you have to register that executor. Then you create the new instance of the database here, like this. Then you say abstract database, then you put here the interface that you created before. You remember created the interface is equal to the DB interface. Okay, and you initialize it here like this. I hope you're together. I hope you're together here, right? You can pause the video and look at what I'm doing. Okay, so after doing that, then we're going to now register the executor. So you're going to simply write this. I'm going to copy it and I'll explain it everything step by step. Okay, so I'm going to come here on bottom here and paste this one. I already write it this, okay, so I don't repeat myself. So it's public static synchronized database, and then you put here get the number of instance, and then you pass the context. Okay, so this one that you'll be using to initialize the database. You put here get number of instance, and then you open the curly bracket. Okay, you see this curly bracket starts here and it ends here. So here is where we're going to initialize the database itself. Okay, so here we just put if the instance is not equal to null, then we initialize the instance. Otherwise, we leave it the way it is. Okay, so to initialize the instance, you just check here. If instance is not equal to null, we initialize it. Okay, so to initialize the instance here in this bracket, we just simply say instance equals room database builder, and then you pass the context dot get application. That is the first parameter. Okay, then after passing the first parameter, and then you pass the second parameter, which is database dot class. This one that registering this database as the class that will be used as our database, and then you pass here the database name. Okay, so this database name is just a static file. I mean, it's just a static name. I'm going to create it, not now, but I'm going to create it. Okay, so and then you say dot build. Okay, so here I'm building the database itself. So let us create this this static how should I call it? It is just a constant. This constant, let us create this constant. Okay, so we can put it anywhere. We can put it in tools, we can put it anywhere, but for me, I always put my constant in the beginning in the beginning activity. So I'm going to create a new activity that I'll be using as a starting when the application starts. I'm going to create an activity that I'll be calling when the application starts. So that activity is the one that will be deciding and check if the user is logged in and allow them to proceed to their chats. If the user is not logged in, and send them to the to the registration or login form. That is the activity that I'm going to create right now. Okay, and it's where I'll be putting all my constants. That's how I do it, but you can also do it in a different way. So I'll just simply come here to activities, right click on it and say new, and then I'm going to say activity. Okay, and then save to activity. I'm going to call this one start activity. Okay, start activity. Then I'll just click on finish. Okay, so that's where I'll be starting the application. Okay, so it's the one that will be like checking if the user is logged in, if they're allowed to log in, and then allow them to redirect them to any side. Whether they're logged in, they go to the chats. If they're not logged in, it sends them to where? To the registration form. So here I'm going to put all my constants here. I always put my constants here. That's how I do it. So this one's just public static constant. Okay, so I'll put here public static constant here in the start application. Okay, so public static constant, and I give this database. You see this constant that I mentioned here. Okay, it's the one that I mentioned. I put here database name. So I can put here WhatsApp clone DB. Okay, So that's going to be the database name that the system will be using to record the database, our content on the local database. Okay, so here I just simply press Alt and enter, and this database name I import it here. Just I import it, and then it will be imported. Okay, so you shouldn't have any error right now. Okay, and then I put here, after closing this bracket of the build, and I put dot fallback to destructive migration, and then put dot build. Okay, so here is the one that is going to build the database, and it will be checking if the instance is null, and then it builds it. Okay, you see, that's how I've done it. So after doing that, after initializing that, I hope you can see that. Otherwise, if the instance is not null, it will return what? It will return the instance. Okay, so if the instance is null, it will create it and then at the end of the day, it will return the instance. So whether it is null or not null, it will always return the what? The instance, the database instance. So I hope you can see that. It's just a simple file that a simple line of code that I've created in the database itself. So you can pause the video and look at my source code. I know it can be confusing if you're not familiar to Room database, but once you practice it 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, you can get used to it. Okay, so we proceed, right? So this one is always returning the instance. So let's proceed. So after returning the instance, where were we? After returning the instance, okay, so we are done with that. Okay, we are done with that. So the next thing that you have to do is to create create the models, the models that you're going to use in the database. For example, right now we're going to work on the login user, whether the user is logged in or not is the one that you're going to work with. So we have to create the model for the logged in user, whether the user is logged in or not. Okay, so let us create it right now. Sorry, someone called me. So let us create it right now. Okay, so after creating the database itself, then you're going to create the models. So I click here on the project, and then come to the model, and then right click here on the model, new, and then say new. You know, this package you created it before, right? So new, and come and say Java class. I'm going to call it logged in user model. Okay, so this one I'll be just saving when the user is logging in. I'll be saving in this model whether the user is logged in or not. Okay, I'll be saving the information of the logged in user in this model. Okay, so that's why I call it like that. So I put there. Okay, so let us see what we may need to save about the user. So I'll have to go to my database, the online database, which is this one. Let me see this information. So we have the user ID, so I'm going to put here public string. The user ID is what? Is an integer, so I can keep it an integer. Public int user underscore ID. Initialize it to 0 by default. So put here public string, and the other thing is what? Is the phone number, the name. The name, initialize it to nothing by default, and then the phone number, and then the registration number, reg date. Do we need to save that also? This one just be checking if there is. Okay, let's save everything. Reg underscore date, and then the last scene, and then lastly the profile photo. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to do what? After doing that, then you're going to register this one as a what? As so I've created this model. Is the one that we'll be using to log in a user or not. Okay, and log out the user. Okay, so after doing that, someone is disturbing me. Let me first switch off. Okay, I've put it in silent. Okay, so Now let us go ahead and register this database. Okay, I mean this model as a what is database. But before we do that, we have to first tell the database that we're going to use this model as a what, as a it's going to work in the room database. So I have to tell that. Okay, so if you'll not save this one in the database, so you don't need to do that. But if you're going to save it in the database, then you will have to write these following lines. Okay, these following things. So let me show you. I already create some here. No. Yes. Okay, so I have to register it as an entity. So to register an entity, just come here on top here and you just write at entity, and then you say that table name. Okay, table name, and then you give this table what, a name. So this is a constant. Okay, so I'm going to just give it the name that I use it here. So I'm going to come here to my start activity and write another constant. It's going to be logged in user. Okay, so I can call it logged in user table. Okay, so you can give it any name, but as long as it's not repetitive and it does not having a space. Okay, so this one, the one that will be used to create the what, to create the database online. I mean, to create the table for this for this model. So let me call it logged in user table. You know, constant, you better use what, capital letters. Okay, so that's how I've called it. So I'll come here back to the model itself and put the table name as the one that I've just defined in the start activity. See, I hope we are together there, right? I hope we are together. So after doing that, after registering this one as an entity like the one I've done here, we have to identify what, a primary key. So to put a primary key, you just write here that here on top of a ID or on top of any unique item, unique property of your model, you just put here at not null, null, and then you write at, and then you put primary key. Okay, put primary key. So they'll use this next property as a what, as the primary key for the table that will be created for this model. So after doing that, then you have to register this what, we have to register this database. Okay, so let's go ahead and register this database. I mean, so we have to register this table. Let's go ahead and register this model as a table. Okay, so to do that, you know where we have to go. Of course, we have to go to where, to the database itself. Okay, this database DB, where is it? We go to DB here, database. Okay, so you remember here where we have entities, with the thing that we created at first and put entities, is where we have to register these database models. So I put here the first model is going to be called logged in user dot what, dot class. Okay, so all the models that will be registered in the database, we have to add them here. Okay, so after doing that, then we have successfully created the what, the model, and add it in a what, in an interface. So the next thing that we're going to do, is now to what, after doing that, then the next thing that we're going to do is now to implement this model. Okay, so to implement this model, so we have to create another thing called repository. There are so many things that we have to create, but this is the very last one. Okay, I know. Okay, this is the second last one. Okay, the last one. Okay, so we are going to create another thing called repository. So this repository is the one that will be communicating between the internet and the what, and the database, the one that we want to be fetching all the information from. We call it repository. So let's go ahead and create the repository. So I already have the repository somewhere. It's just a simple Java class. Okay, it's just a simple Java class. I'm going to call it database repository. So I come here where I put the logic of database, right click on it and say new, and then say Java class. Yes, Java class. Okay, and put database repository. Okay, database repository. So I'm going to press enter and have this class here. Okay, so in this database repository is where we're going to add the logic that will be communicating with the what, with the database itself. So the first thing that we're going to do right now is so here we're going to create a constructor, and this constructor is the one that will be initializing the database. So it will help us to initialize the database only one time when we're running a certain activity. Okay, so let's go ahead and create the constructor. So I'll just simply put here a constructor, you know how to create a constructor. It should be the same name as the what, as the class, and then this constructor will be receiving the context. Okay, and then here is where we're going to initialize the what, the database itself. So as you can see here, I'm initializing the context first. So I'm just saying, say this dot context, but you know this property I have not added it. Okay, so I have to add it somewhere. So I'm going ahead and create the context first here on top. Here on top of this. Okay, on top of this method. So initialize the context. So the other thing that I have to do is to initialize the database itself now. Okay, so the database and the interface, those two things I needed them. So I'll put here, I'll come on top and create the database property, the database attribute, and the interface attribute. You know, we have already created these ones. Okay, so I have to initialize here the database now. So to initialize the database, I just simply say database is equal to the new database dot pass the context. You know, the other database we have to pass the context. Okay, so you say database dot get instance, and then you pass the what, the constants, the context. So after doing that, then let's go ahead and create now the interface. You know, also the interface we need it also. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so after creating the interface, now we have to add the things that will communicate between the interface and the database. For example, we're going to create the first property, the first method that is going to get if the user is logged in or not logged in. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to just simply put here, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to explain everything, don't need to worry. So I'm going to come here and put a public, let me minimize here. Okay, it's going to be just public live data, and then put here what it should receive. So for example, here I need it to receive nothing. Okay, so I'm just going to put here nothing, and then put here, sorry, no, what it should return. So I just put public live data and open these square brackets and put what should return. So it's going to return a live data of user logged in user model, logged in user model. Okay, so that's what it will return, a live data of logged in user model. So I'm going to put here just get logged in user. Okay, so it's just going to be, I'm going to call it get logged in user. Okay, so this was one that will be getting for us whether the user is logged in or not. And then after, I just put here in the open curly bracket, and I put return, and then I put our interface that we just initialize here, interface dot get logged in user. Okay, dot get logged in user here. But remember, we have not created in the interface, we have not created this get logged in user. Okay, so you have to create it. So there are different ways you can create it. You can just simply press Alt and Enter, and then you create it. So sorry, point in the error, press Alt and Enter, and then create get logged in user. Okay, so here in get logged in user, it's just going to return the live data of get logged in user, and you can see here it is get logged in user, and this interface is not taking anything. So after doing that, we have to now write the SQL that will be working on the on the logic of getting the logged in user. Okay, so let's go ahead and write that SQL. Wait, let's go ahead and write that SQL. So on top of this, you know, we are here in the interface. In this interface, and this way I'll put here get logged in user. So here we're going to write the logic of getting the logged in user. So I'll just simply put at query, and then we pass the logic of getting the logged in user. So it's going to be select all from where, from, then we write the database name. You know the database name, we already have it here. For this logged in user model here, we already have it here, you see. So I have to put it here, select all from, and I put plus, then I put the database name. That's it. So that one will get for us all the people who are logged in. So of course we need one, so we're interested only in one. Okay, so select all from that, and then we do that. So that's it. That's how we will get this data from from the local database. So it may look so confusing if it is your first time, but it is simple if you continue practicing it. Okay, so this one, the one that will be getting for us the logged in user, and then you can see here, where is it? Here in the repository we just return the logged in user who is logged in. Okay, so now I'm going to check if the user is logged in or not in the main the start activity, so I can be able to decide whether the user should proceed to the chats or not, to the create message side. So we're going to just get here, get logged in user here, get logged in user, and then you go to the start activity, this one, and then I'm going to put here the method here. After starting, I'm going to put here the method of check if it's logged in, or can say it's logged in, maybe, or authenticate. I don't know how I should call it. I'll authenticate. Okay, so this one's one that will be checking if the user is logged in or not. So I'll press Alt and Enter to create this method. It is here. So here you're going to need the what? We're going to need the interface. So it is the interface. So we'll be dealing with the interface only to communicate the database. So I have to put here an object of my interface, database repository. So I'm call it database repository. So I called it repository. So repository, to initialize it, equals new database database repository, and you pass the context, which is this. Okay, and then after passing the context, and then we authenticate. Okay, so to authenticate, it's going to be database repository dot get logged in user. Okay, but get logged in user, like this. Okay, so here what we're going to receive is going to be observer. Okay, so add here dot observe, because they're expecting live data. Okay, so dot observe, and then you put here what do we pass? I still remember. We pass the context, which is this, and the next thing that we pass the new observer, I think, yeah, like that. Okay, so it is straightforward. So you see how I've written it. So the first thing that you pass is just say DB database repository. After you initialize it, make sure that you initialize it, get logged in user, and then you put dot observe. Then in this dot observe, then you pass the context, which is this, and then you pass new observer, and then it will autocomplete for you the remaining things. But it is just simply new observer, and then it is logged in user, the model that you're expecting, and then you close the curl, reopen the curl bracket, and then override it on change. So here on change is where we'll get the results. Okay, so I'll check if equals null. I'll toast not logged in, and then I return. Okay, if else, I'm going to make a simple toast and same is already logged in. Okay, so in case it returns as something that is not null, I'm going to make it long here. Okay, so here it's where I'm going to check if the user is logged in or not, and I'm going to do what? To toast if the user is logged in. I'll create a simple toast. If not logged in, I'll create a simple toast here. So it's just going to help me to check if the is logged in or not. The spelling is not correct. Authenticate, I don't know. Okay, so this one, just call it check login. Okay, so after doing that, now it's done that. It will be checking if the user is logged in or not. So the last thing, I want to make now this activity to be the main to be the opening activity, the starting activity. Okay, the starting activity. So to do that, I'll just simply come to the project and then come to where to the manifest and come here and I'm going to come here where there is a main activity here. I'm going to change it to what? To start activity. Start activity. And where there is start activity, sorry, I'm going to change it to what? Where is start activity though? Minimize start activity. Okay, so the start activity, I'm going to here where there's main activity, I'm going to change start activity, and where the start activity, I'm going to change to main activity. Press Alt and enter. Sorry, so it's not to come here like this. Okay, so as you can see, I've switched those two. So this is the starting activity that I'll be starting with. This is just a main activity. Okay, so let's go ahead and run the project and see if we can tell the user if he's logged in or not logged in. You can, the code might be complicated, but that's the only way to make a room database, local database. If you practice multiple times, you can get used, but for the first time it can look a little bit confusing, but that's it, my friend. Okay, so you can pause the code and look at my code, but don't give up. That's the point. Don't give up. Okay, so let's check if the user is logged in or not. So I'll select the phone that I'm using, the emulator, and right click on it to run. So we watch out as the application is running, and then we'll tell if the user is logged in or not. So it is installing. Let us watch here properly. Watch on the bottom. You see, not logged in, not logged in. So you can see our application can tell that the user is logged in or not logged in, and without any crash. That's beautiful. So let us see. What's the time? Let me first check the time. If the video is not too long, then and see if we can work on the login logic. Yes, it's 36 minutes. So let's use the remaining 10 minutes at least to create the the login form, okay, or the registration form. So to do that, I'm going to put here, I'm going to come to the activity. So if the user is not logged in, I'm going to forward them to the registration activity. So right click here on the activity, right click on it and say new activity. Is it new activity, and then come and say empty activity, and I'm going to call it here registration activity. Register, okay, I say register. So this is going to be the activity for registration. Okay, so after doing that, I'm going to click here to open it, and then click on split, so I can write the logic of the login of the registration form. So here I already have the registration form, so I'm going to just copy and paste and explain everything step by step. Okay, so I'm going to explain everything step by step. Okay, so we begin. This is the UI that I made, so the one that you're going to use. So in the first place, I'm going to change the main layout to be a relative layout. So I'm going to change this one to be a relative layout, like that. Then after I give the layout match parent, it is match parent, and then I give it the background of gray 10. I can make it green 10. You know, we create these colors and you still remember what we did. Okay, see, green 100, that much green. Green 5, green 5 is there, green 15. Okay, we put that little green there and kind of background. Okay, so after doing that, let's go ahead and give this view that is going to have that greenish background that you see. So I'll copy that and paste it here. It's just a simple view with match parent and height of 220 dp and the background of green 800. You remember these colors, we put them there. If you did not follow along, you have to watch the first video and you see how we put these colors there, or you can as well pause the video and write them, or you can hard code these colors by yourself. Okay, so after doing that, so we're going to put this logo. We put a linear layout that is going to have the whole form. So it's going to be a linear layout. I'm explaining everything step by step. Linear layout, and I'm going to close it bottom here. So it's a simple linear layout with width match parent and height match parent and center parent true, and orientation vertical, and padding of margin large. Okay, so I hope that is clear. I hope we're together. You can pause the video and look at what I've just done so far. So after doing that, I'm going to put an image that is going to have the WhatsApp logo. So I'm going to put here the image here like this. It's going to have a WhatsApp logo. It's just a simple image of width 90 dp, height 90 dp, and then gravity layout of center horizontal, and then margin top of spacing large, and margin bottom spacing large, and then we have here WhatsApp icon. So I'm going to copy WhatsApp icon and put it in my in my resource in the drawables. So I already have it here. Just control drag and drop and paste it there. Okay, WhatsApp logo. So there we go, and there it will come. Okay, so I hope you are together. So you can increase maybe this one to 100 and this one to 100. Okay, so after doing that, this is just my simple UI that I made. So let's go ahead and put now the card. This is a simple card. After that, put a card and I close. Make sure that you close the card. Okay, so press here, Alt and Enter. No, like that. Okay, so which is a simple card that is having width of match parent and height match parent, and visibility of visible, and corner radius of 6, and elevation of what, of 5. A simple card. Please, you can do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and put now the form inside this card, which is going to be a linear layout like this, and then we close it. Okay, so it's going to have a linear layout of match width, width match parent, height match parent, wrap content, and then orientation of vertical and padding of margin large. Okay, I hope we are together there. Then after, we're going to put our text of it's going to be just a simple text, and you can see the beautiful thing that we've made. It's going to be maybe create account or sign up. Okay, it's just for signing up, and I'm going to make this one green of 800. Okay, let's make it 900. Okay, it's going to be just a simple sign up. You can see it's just a text view, and you can see what I've put. Okay, so do that, please. So after doing that, then I'm going to put now an input that's going to have, another text view that's going to have the create account, the username item. You see here it is, this one. Okay, and you can look at the attributes. So I'm going to put here maybe full name, and then someone's name will be coming here. You can see that. Just pause the video and look at that attribute. So I'm going to put now the form, the input field. Okay, remove this theme. Okay, so here it's where we'll be putting the so here it's where we'll be receiving the username, the name, and lastly we put for the password, and we are just interested in phone number, maybe not even password. We may not work on the logic of passwords, we just want the phone number. So it's going to be just like the first, but the difference is this one's going to have the phone number. So you can do it. So I'm going to change this one, phone number. Okay, so pause the video and look at my input. I can remove this theme, I don't need it. Please pause the video and look at my video. Pause the video and look at what I've just made in case you want to follow along. You see? So after doing that, then lastly we have to add another view with a button of login. Okay, So that's a simple view with margin height, and then you put the button of login, or sign up. Okay, so I'm going to create this button of rounded. You can look at it. So I'm going to make it rounded. Just press Alt and Enter to create this drawable, and I'm going to add the content of this drawable here. So you can pause the video and look at the drawable, right? You can pause the video and look at the code. It's a little bit complicated, but you can do it. Okay, pause the video and look at the code. If you don't want, you can skip it. You just leave it as your plain button. And I will share the source code. See, that's the one that is going to give our button some kind of what? Of beautiful colors. Okay, so I'll copy it, paste it here. So this is going to be color primary. Our primary color should be green. And 800 at least. And dark primary should be green 900. Okay, so that's it. That's a simple button. You can pause the video and look at this source code if you can create this button, if you want to create a button like this one. But if you don't want, you can leave it the way it is. Just remove this attribute. Okay, so I can give here tint, background tint of green 900 or 800. So after doing that, I don't know why it's remaining purple. I'll fix it later. Okay, I'll fix it later. Okay, after doing that, then we can ask if the user does not have an account, you should be able to do what? To log in. Okay, so it's just a linear layout with two what? With two text views. So come here after the button, add new user, create an account. Just let me expand for you so that you can see it. It's just a simple linear layout with orientation of horizontal, and you can see that. You see that? And it's having a what? A text view of new user with a question mark, and another text view with a what? With a sign in. Okay, with the word create account. New user, create an account. So I say here, so this one is creating an existing account. You can go and put I can put have an account, and then put here login. Okay, so there is the one that will allow us to log in. So I can pause the video and look at this source code, but I'll share this source code. So try your best and make sure that you are together with me. So that's it. Sign up. So how shall we navigate to this page? Of course, we have to go to the start activity, where this start activity is here, and check. Of course, we are checking here if the user is already existing. If not logged in, then we will send you to the sign up activity. So not logged in, and I'll send you to the what? To the sign up activity. So it's going to be intent equals intent I equals new intent. The first thing you pass the context, which is this, and the second thing you pass the sign up activity, which is register dot class. I think that's it. No, we first pass the register, then context. Okay, like this. Why? Oh, this one must be main activity, start activity dot this, yeah, like this. Okay. Then we start the activity, so going to be start activity dot this dot start activity, and we pass the intent I. Okay, so if you don't want the user to come back here, we just simply put finish, so the user should not be able to come back here. When they come back, the application should stop. So there, I'm logging in the user. I'm redirecting the user to what? To the login page. So I hope you are together, right? I hope you are together. So let's go ahead and log in the user and run the application, see what we've got so far. So it is executing. So you see, it automatically redirects us to sign up. Okay, no, this is not the application. It is, right? You see, not logged in, sign up. Perfect. That is perfect. If you are not logged in, it automatically redirects us to what? To sign up. I have to change these colors to what? To the primary colors. We'll do that in the next video. But you can see the point. Like if you're not logged in, it automatically directs us to what? To sign up. That is so beautiful. We can tell whether the user is logged in or not, and when you quit the application, it automatically closes. This is another application, right? It automatically closes. Let me run it again, and then we see what next. You see, not logged in, and we are taken straight away to what? To sign up. So in the next video, we are going to put now the logic of logging in here. Like we should allow now people to do what? To create their accounts and do what? And sign up. That's what we'll do in the next video. So I hope you'll not miss. Let's meet in the next video, please. This video was a bit long, but make sure that you reach up this point, and make sure that you meet in the next video, please. See you there.